The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is July 18th, 2018, and this week, UK says okay and meat. My name's Basil.
And this is Gonz. What you couldn't see, and I'm guessing, is the quotation that you
There's
had.
air quotes.
Air quotes, yeah, sorry, quotation.
Air quotes around meat.
Around meat, yep.
You know,
go ahead.
Sorry, before we get started, Gonz, I wanted to point something out.
Okay.
And that is, we have not gotten a rating or review. Well, we haven't gotten a review on iTunes since May.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We skipped a whole month.
We skipped a whole month with no reviews. So this is my official call. If you're listening to this show and haven't left a review on iTunes yet, go over there, leave a rating and review. It's hard to explain just how important it is. It is the number of and frequency of rating and reviews that we get that puts us on lists that other people can find the show. So, there you go. Not a game changer, but hey, if you haven't done so yet, please go over there and do that. I know you're out there.
And thank you to the people who have already done it.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Also, I went over to our Stitcher account, and as far as I can tell, not a single person has left a review on Stitcher. So I don't know if that means we don't have a lot of Stitcher downloads, but I know somebody out there is on Stitcher. You can immortalize yourself in the Canary Cry News Talk history, as well as the internet, by being the first person to review Canary Cry News Talk on Stitcher. But that's not what we're here to talk about, Gonz.
No. We're here to talk about fringe news with Canary Cry Views. That's
right. And also, just a little update for everybody. I'm just trying to keep everybody updated on the robot rebellion, the uprising. TheVerge.com is reporting the sun-chasing robot looks after the plants on its head. That's right. It's a cute little spider robot. I mean, it's terrifying looking little spider robot, with the exception that you can put a little plant on its head and it walks around and stays in the sunlight.
He wears the plant like a hat, like an old, Japanese or Asian style.
Yeah, it's a cute little robot. You plant a plant on its head and it kind of like meanders about,
looks
on
for the
table
sun,
or on the floor, and stays in the sun, so your plants get all the sun. Or it'll take out, it can take the plant out of the sun if it's had too much sun. If it's one of those plants that needs a break. Yeah,
it can speak with the plant. This is while this is cute for now,
it is adorable.
This is the beginning of the hybrid robot plant. Organic cyborg, that whole thing.
We're constantly worried about the melding of man and machine. We haven't thought about the melding of plants and machine.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
Man, we're in trouble. If plants gain the ability to control robots, or at least empathetically speak to them, they're not going to have some nice things to say about us.
They've been conditioning us with the Lord of the Rings movies.
Oh, man, I just figured it out. Yep. Plants and robots, they're going to team up together to take out the human cancer on this planet.
We're in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so there's one robot update. Also, we got robots. Popularmechanics.com. We got more robots. They're painting paintings now.
Yep.
And they're, as the headline for this article suggests, they're very, very good.
Yep.
There's this robot paints in the style of who is that? Van Gogh?
Van Gogh-esque. I don't know if it's Van Gogh per se, but yeah, kind of like the Impressionist, yeah. Loose kind of you step up close and it's kind of like it looks scribbly, but you step away and it comes into view as a nice
Van Gogh
and stuff.
They're reproductions of Van Gogh landscapes. So no longer do you. I mean, those Asian reproduction factories where they have like 1,000 highly skilled painters all sitting there reproducing paintings to sell all over the world. They better watch out. Robots can do it now.
Robots can take over. I've actually seen Van Gogh in person. Not the man. The paintings. And
yeah.
actually, it was interesting. We had to evacuate the building because there was a giant earthquake. It was like one of the big LA earthquakes, not the huge one in Norwalk or whatever, but yeah, it was crazy. So
let's protect the art, folks, from the earth. The earth is rebelling against the art.
It was the spirit of AI.
Yeah,
coming a rumbling to the museum to check out the Van Gogh paintings, even back then.
That's absolutely correct. Do we have anything, any other updates or anything to talk about before we jump into our first story here?
Speaking of the beast system.
All right.
Beast system.
Yeah, jumping right into it. Speaking of the beast system, tell me about it, Gonzo.
This is theguardian.com. Genetically modified babies given go-ahead by UK ethics body. Yeah, and we've been tracking some of this stuff, but it says here the creation of babies whose DNA has been altered to give them what parents perceive to be the best chances in life has received a cautious green light in a landmark report from a leading UK ethics body.
Hey, Gons, do you know what a cautious green light is called here in America?
Yellow?
A yellow light.
Yeah, that's yeah.
So I don't know what you got going on over there, UK traffic people. All right, continue.
Interesting. So I guess it's one of those, like, you can stop if you want to be, if you want to be safe, you can stop, but
no,
if you're going to go for it.
There is no logic to this. Let's continue.
The Nuffield Council on Bioethics said that changing the DNA of a human embryo could be morally permissible if it was in the future child's interest and did not add to the kinds of inequalities that already divide society. The report does not call for a change in UK law to permit genetically altered babies, but instead urges research into the safety and effectiveness of the approach, its societal impact, and a widespread debate of its implications. Quote, "It's our view that genome editing is not morally unacceptable in itself," said Karen Jung, chair of the Nuffield Working Group and professor of law, ethics, and informatics at the University of Birmingham. Quote, "There is no reason to rule it out in principle, but the report drew immediate criticism from some quarters, with one lobby group accusing the authors of opening the door to the unrestricted use of heritable genetic engineering in an age of genetic haves and have-nots. Recently, advances in genetic technology have given scientists the tools to rewrite the DNA bound up in living cells letter by letter. With the procedures in hand, scientists can in principle tweak the genetic code in sperm, eggs, and embryos and change dramatically how future children develop. While laws in the UK and some other countries currently ban the creation of genetically altered babies, a handful of experiments around the world have shown that DNA editing could, in principle, prevent children from inheriting serious diseases caused by faulty genes. The prospect of modifying genes in human embryos has long been controversial, though. For a start, the procedure has yet to be proven safe. In a study published in Nature Biotechnology on Monday, British researchers found that the most popular tool for genome editing, CRISPR-Cas9, caused more damage to DNA than previously thought. If the scientists are right, gene editing could disrupt healthy genes when it is meant only to fix faulty ones. Got anything brewing over there, Basil?
Well, right. So the big thing here is the Nuffield Council on Bioethics.
Nuffield. I keep saying Nuffield.
Well, I don't really know. I'm going with the Nuffield thing, just because it sounds less stupid. But who knows? I don't know.
You might have just offended like an entire country.
Sorry.
Actually,
UK.
You may be right in the way. I don't know. Who knows?
I think it's
I may be the
Newfield.
one offending the whole country. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm protecting you from the
the mob.
the YouTube comments. Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, they're talking about morally permissible,
right?
Okay, and they're talking about it's not morally unacceptable in itself. And I don't know if we're gonna get into the discussion of morals. I mean, I don't even know if I would use the language of moral permissible. I mean, my worry is more safe for the species. I think they bring up I think it's a good point, even though it's like very much on the like social justice warrior kind of higher end of
Approach
the scale, which is
like the wrapping, the way it's presented.
Well, what a weird thing! What a weird place to draw the line. Where you can mess with like internal processes, and obviously the ideal is that you cure diseases before the baby gets born. Obviously, I mean that's obvious. But we all know that when all this stuff comes to fruition, there's going to be you're going to be able to change anything. And what they're saying is, yeah, you can tamper with DNA, but you can't do it in ways that are like create social inequalities, which does, I mean, what's included in that? Skin color, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way down
all kinds of stuff.
All the way down to like
intellect,
I mean, even hair
ability.
Color and blue eyes and all this kind of stuff. I mean, there's studies to show that. I mean, I don't have them in front of me. I don't know what these actual. I don't have the data, but I know that there's studies like, oh yeah, blonde hair, blue eyes. They get preference in certain industries and stuff like that. I mean, there's all sorts of these little studies. So I mean, basically, that would mean all cosmetic changes are off the table if you're talking about inequalities. But then you have the issue where, okay, well, if cosmetic issues are off the table, what about a cleft lip? That's more or less a cosmetic issue. Now, I know that there's some just logistics with the lips and the mouth where those things get repaired. But what are you going to do? Not say you can cure a baby's cleft lip in the womb? No, nobody's going to say that. So then you got to draw the line a little bit into the cosmetic area. By the way, I know nothing about cleft lips and the struggle that presents, so I'm sure that's more than a cosmetic thing. I don't mean to belittle that. Anyways, but the language that they're using when it comes to morally permissible and inequality and stuff is fine, but the real issue here is creating inheritable genes with unforeseen consequences down the line of human species. I mean, they're like focusing on the wrong stuff here.
Yeah. If you think about it like a tree, it's really putting a whole new thing in like one of the branches to see what happens. But yeah, the language of not morally unacceptable, I thought was a fun way of saying that they find it morally acceptable.
Yeah, I guess. Negative. Although I'm constantly using those double negatives, but I'm kind of a vague person like that.
Are you? You're trying to like play the wave a little bit. Try to
mind control. No, I mean morally is not morally unacceptable. I mean, I accept that. I don't even know if I would say it's morally unacceptable necessarily. I mean, you can get into the the kind of Christian hard line of like, don't mess with God's creation, which I generally do agree with.
Right. But then it comes to, again,
but they're making it a moral issue. And this is the issue that we're coming in contact with everything in the world today. Not everything is a moral issue.
Right.
Some things are just pragmatic issues.
Right.
Like not tampering with DNA in genes that are going to be inherited by generations that aren't even born yet with unforeseen consequences. That's the issue here. The issue is not if it's morally good or bad. I mean, that's when you start. I mean, it's part of the whole generation of like, how does it make you feel? How does genetic modification make you feel? Well, that's your truth, brother. No, this is maybe you change a gene in my baby, but what does that do to his baby or her baby?
Right.
And that's where the human race has a huge potential to just like basically destroy ourselves.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating. The article wraps it up here. The report urges government to set up a new body to ensure that as many voices as possible are involved in public discussions about what should and should not be permissible. Quote, we are very clear that what we need to have is as wide a discussion about this issue as possible, Leach Scully said. An interesting name, Leach Scully. In the event that the law is changed, gene editing of human embryos should be considered on a case-by-case basis by the fertility regulator, the Human Fertilization and Embryology Authority, the report adds.
Yeah.
Oy.
Well, I agree in the case-by-case basis. If this is going to happen, it needs to be done on a case-by-case basis. You can't just do widespread things.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
this concept of one, the concept of one governing body recommending the creation of another, it's like a bureaucrat saying, we need more bureaucracy in this. You know what we don't have enough of? Let's make a body,
a government body, another layer of people,
a body to
authority.
create more bodies.
Yeah,
that's what they should create.
Jeez,
exasperation.
It's so they just I don't know. There's so many ways that this could be abused in so many different ways. George Church, a geneticist at Harvard University who was not involved in the report, said he agreed with the report's guiding principle that gene editing, quote, should not be expected to increase disadvantage, discrimination, or division in society, adding that this would be aided by lower costs and better public dialogue and education. Making changes to common gene variants in sperm and eggs could save roughly 5% of babies from painful diseases, he says.
Oh, that's interesting.
So there you go. But then Marcy Darnofsky at the Center for Genetics and Society in California said that the report recognized that if reproductive gene editing was permitted, it would be used for enhancement and cosmetic purposes. Quote, they dispense with the usual pretense that this could, or in their estimation, should be prevented. They acknowledge that this may worsen inequality and social division, but don't believe that should stand in the way. In practical terms, they have thrown down a red carpet for unrestricted use of inheritable genetic engineering in a gilded age in which some are treated as genetic haves and the rest of us as have-nots. Mm-hmm. And I think the concern there is real.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, there's any number of sci-fi movies that this kind of alludes to. And
yeah, but
we've talked about this in reference to like technocracy and getting implants of one type or another. It creates another social class. And yeah, you can imagine far down the road that there's the normies, the organics, those who have not had DNA manipulation in their lineage, and then there's sort of the beautiful people who are who are another class in society, or not the beautiful people, or the weird mutants who are running around, who have been unfortunate
the rejected ones from the very top, the ones that tried to stay up with the times and change their DNA or at least produce the offspring with the
Right. And I'm talking about further down the ancestral line. I mean, talk about in 100 years is what I'm referring to.
Sure.
And in 100 years, now you have this caste system, whereas there's the organics, the regular people, and then there's, either this class of like beautiful superhumans or this class of like people with like ears growing where their nose
that's what I'm saying. Those would be rejected. Like both would happen. You know what I mean? And
I agree. Yeah. And it shows two opposite futures, and we are at the brink of those futures.
Yeah, much closer than you think.
But I mean, here's the thing: I don't want to be too close-minded about like
helping people,
relieving human suffering.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's a baby who's going to be born with muscular dystrophy or something, and there's some sort of cure, I would prefer a world where babies are not born with horrible diseases. I'm just going to lay that down right now. I would prefer that world. But I think that before we get to that world, unfortunately, there's probably going to be a few mistakes.
Well, and mistakes that, again, like you mentioned, we won't know about for a few generations, potentially.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the thing that's really the point of contention here, I guess, is that we're just going ahead, we're doing it. We're going to move forward, and we're going to go ahead
and on that note, actually, there's reports coming out. We don't need to make this a big story because we're coming up on 20 minutes here. At CRISPR-Cas9, the stock fell because a report came out that showed, like it mentioned here in the article, that it actually causes more damage than we thought.
Yeah.
So
Fast Company.
We told you so.
Yeah, that's a Fast Company article. And basically it says that the study, which was, mentioned the same thing, review for over a year, according to STAT, found that when CRISPR edited specific genes, it also impacted unrelated genes that were far removed from the paired targets.
Right. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. And that's,
So,
that doesn't bode well for the, hey, let's go ahead and do stuff argument.
right. Yeah. So, Gons, once again, speaking of the beast system.
Speaking of the beast system. Beast system.
Yeah. Beat system. Hey, stop it with the yeah.
You just
got
yahed
me
over
live.
your own yeah.
I know, that was weird. It's tripping me out,
really
man. I hate that one. Okay. This is an article from TheVerge.com again. How synthetic biology will and maybe won't change the future of food. More than a century ago, dairy farmers sounded the alarm on margarine, insisting that it wasn't really butter, and it therefore needed to be classified differently. Today, the Food and Drug Administration is hosting a public meeting on lab-grown meat, including the question of whether it should be called meat, in quotations. Lab-grown meat is getting all the attention, but it's far from the only product that will run into these labeling questions. Many researchers in the field of synthetic biology are using technology to create flavors and fragrances that wouldn't occur naturally. According to Christina Agapakis, a biologist who is the creative director at Ginkgo Bioworks. Ginkgo, a Boston-based synthetic biology company, doesn't engineer lab-grown meat directly, but its scientists genetically engineer microbes to make perfume and food. The Verge spoke to Agapakis about the state of cultured meat, the link between synthetic biology and sustainability, and the future of food. This article is kind of in an interview style, so I'm going to kind of jump around just for the sake of time here. Mm-hmm. So they talk a little bit about the concept of natural, in quotes, ingredients and what's considered natural and what's not considered natural in the concept of labeling. As we know, there are some not so natural ingredients that are labeled natural. But, you know, a lot of genetically engineered microbes are used for things like fragrances. They make the connection with rose scent that goes into, you know, laundry detergents or perfumes or whatever, dryer sheets or really anything you want to smell like a rose. Mostly laundry related.
There's a commercial out there that has a blindfolded person smell testing like their product, and then like real, I can't remember what it was, like lavender or something.
Yeah.
And you know, they always pick the, you know, the question is try to pick the real one. They always pick the product, and it, this was the real thing.
The basis here is that there's not enough land mass on the earth to grow all of the roses that would be needed to make everything we want to smell like roses. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of their defense for this sort of synthetic biology.
I like how they turn it on the customer. Like, you want more roses? We got to do this. We have
to. Well, you want roses or not? Take your pick, roses or no roses. And then they talk about synthetic meat. And this is interesting. Let me, man, a lot about labeling.
You know what I think the synthetic meat's going to taste like?
Mm-hmm.
Better, bigger, tastier.
Very good. The article reads, and when it comes to cultured meat, the whole point of it is to say it's cultured meat, right? Show people how it's made and how traditional meat is made too. That said, right now, cultured meat is a speculative conversation, and a lot of labeling discussion is premature compared to what the technology is. So what they're saying is, as far as labeling the meat, you know, we all unfortunately know how the sausage is made, these horrific... Nice. Bloody, gory slaughterhouses, horror scenes is where all our steak comes from. We've all seen the videos. And so part of the conversation is, we should label synthetic meat as synthetic meat because, hey, this isn't scary murder juice. This is wonderful lab-grown science
nature
meal.
Guided.
Right. And they get a little bit into the process of how the meat is made. Well, I'll just take it from the article here. There's a lot of talk, but it's not on the market yet, referring to synthetic meat. I don't think cultured meat is approaching the kind of cost you'd need to put something on the market and compete against real meat. It's expensive to make. It's still multiplying tissue and building it up piece by piece. That's right, they grow it in a lab. There are technical complications too. If you're making a steak, to get the right texture, the muscle must have exercised in a sense. You can't just grow it in a dish because that wouldn't have the right texture. So people aren't talking about steaks yet. What you can make is limited. A lot of the cost is just labor cost, and then the cost of the serum, which we will talk about, and the materials grow it are not insignificant. Serum is the irony of in vitro meat today. I don't see a solution that doesn't use serum, and that serum comes from slaughtered cows. So it's still a byproduct of the meat industry. It's just further downstream. This I thought was interesting, and I kind of poked around a little bit about this serum. Basically, the serum is just a bunch of meat juice that they use to kind of seed the growing process. Sounds good? Sounds delicious?
Yeah, okay.
So, I mean, technically, you are biologically eating cow meat.
Yeah.
It just didn't grow inside of a cow. It just grew in a nice little dish. In general, what a big...
Here's a definition of insanity.
And then the article goes on to talk about, meat right now is relatively cheap compared to this synthetic meat. So we're not going to see it very soon. And it's going to be incredibly hard to scale. So we haven't quite solved the food crisis on Earth yet. But I don't know, Gons, we're at 26 minutes and 30 seconds. What do you think about the synthetic meat?
Well, a few things came to mind. This is really, just the next step in the long road of genetically modified foods. And
well, okay, keep in mind though, we're not talking about genetically modified.
Okay,
this is synthetically grown. This is true blue cow DNA.
All right,
this
but the process,
blue cow DNA.
The process is some kind of modification. I mean, all right, okay, so it's not modified at all.
It's not modified.
Okay,
it's
so
it's grown outside of a cow.
So it's like taking,
there may be some sort of modification, but that's not the point of this. This thing here.
Okay. Well, either way, it's a whole concept of sustainability. That buzzword there that's the one that they use for all the UN 2030 stuff. I'm surprised they didn't use the whole methane argument. You've heard that before. How there's too much methane. We gotta definitely not make make meat out of cows anymore. We've heard that before, but also here's my question is sort of the bigger, and we don't have to get too into it because we're almost out of time.
Real quick. Well, what we're going to have to do is actually continue this conversation over in the extended report. So finish, give us your last thoughts, and then we got to head over there.
Well, it's going to take longer, so I'll wait.
Okay. Well, if you want to hear Gonz's thoughts, you can head over to patreon.com/CCNT. That's patreon.com/CCNT, where you can sign up to be a supporter. This is a non-advertising supported program. We are only supported by listeners, and the only reason it keeps coming back is because you say so. So if you want to join that and get some cool rewards, like an extra episode every single week, head to patreon.com/CCNT, and we'll see you over there. This week, we're going to finish up the meat discussion. Also, we've got quite the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, or the Technocalypse update. Gons has a nice new little jingle for that. So make sure to go do that. But before then, make sure to go out, tell your friends, rattle some cages.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
Hallelujah.
That's right, everybody. Make sure to tune in next week to Canary Cry News Talk. But until then, think outside the cage.